everybody. Welcome to the Ozark Radio Hour, brought to you by the Eureka Springs Independent and the Inside Straight and Thanatopsis Club. I'm Jeremiah Alvarado.
And I'm Richard Pillay.
And I'm Kent Crow, and we're your hosts for about an hour of purely organic radio. Always fresh, always local, and always honest.
Did you notice how Mr. Alvarado has usurped my position as star of the show?
Well, that's, Richard, come on.
Why does he get away with introducing the program?
Well, you took off. I mean, you bailed on us in the middle of the season, and you got dressed up, like some sort of outlaw motorcyclist and rode off into the sunset on your heavily financed noise machine.
Jeremiah, I don't really understand you. You care about someone you know. You don't care about me, but you do care about a local newspaper columnist who calls Donald Trump a psychopath, and you waste valuable radio time defending an insane rat who screwed at least 3,000 small business owners, and just the ones we know about.
Oh, wait a minute. Jeremiah is kind of in good company, because I think that there are some statistics out there that indicate that perhaps as many as 63% of Arkansans are going to vote for that Republican candidate and signal approval of his xenophobia and his slightly Islam-inspired supply-side economics and huge tax cuts for the 6 Arkansas families who have more money than all of the other 99.99% of the state residents combined. My assessment is that Jeremiah has a bright future as a talk show host, and he knows where his bread's buttered. Well, you and I are just going to get on another motorcycle and ride off into the sunset.
Oh, what a beautiful sight it will be, like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yeah, well, Butch and the Sundance didn't ride off into the sunset. They jumped off a cliff.
And what a beautiful sight that will be, Richard. But let me correct you. Your impression that I'm a Donald Trump fan, I'm really not. I'm just against people labeling other people and saying mean things about them.
Well, that's okay, but you and I, or me and Richard, why are we jumping off a cliff? How did that come up?
I think it's just...
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid got gunned down in a plaza, after robbing poor people on the sides of trails in Bolivia. I'm not jumping off a cliff with you.
Well, I think it's just what someone put in the stupid script.
Well,
yeah. Who writes these scripts? Stupid script.
Yeah.
Aren't you worried that you might hurt the feelings of the guy who wrote the script?
Oh, he's fine.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know, Jeremiah. You have to be careful here, because you can get written out of this real fast. Anyway, Richard.
Yes?
Give Mr. Alvarado a break and tell us about your trip. How did it go?
You really do care.
I do. I want to know. about Sturgis.
The motorcycle ride was wonderful. It was meditative in its own way, and I went with Tim Brown, another local business owner, and we took a break from our everyday lives and rode to beautiful country. I got to go to the reservation and see my wonderful son, Bob, and we rode down to Colorado after that and visited with Tim's father, a wonderful, sweet, kind man, just like his son. And we did go to Sturgis, South Dakota. We rode our bikes to a trailer rally. Kind of profiling that our producer Dan likes to do by calling it geriatrics on noise machines was evident everywhere, but they were clean because they had been trailered up there, and then they carefully wobbled them off of the trailers and
parked them and went into the bar.
No, they put around and rev the engines, and the opportunity to buy many things was there. The demographic was 55, 60 or above. People watching was great. We camped in a spot and parked our bikes and didn't have to ride down into the madness. I watched David Allen Coe
He's
be
dead.
lifted onto the stage in order to perform.
David
He's alive, barely, but he's alive.
I was sure that he was dead.
No, he sang, and of course, the last tune was The Perfect Country and Western Song. Yeah, well, he's still doing it.
But you don't have to call me darling.
Yeah.
All right.
The trip was wonderful. Actually found a peaceful center, something about 2,600 miles on a beautiful motorcycle that brings a great peacefulness.
Was it liberating? Did you feel free?
I feel free right now.
Oh.
And I feel free to bust you in the chops anytime I like.
So you've got this off your bucket list. I mean, is this your last ride, or are there others in your future?
I while going on this trip, centered on all the things that need to be done here and to finish our permaculture project at home. And as disorganized as I am, I've gotten more done since I've returned than I did in the last month before I left. It was a very healing and positive thing. I like this show.
Here's what I want to challenge you to do, Richard. Yes. Pay attention.
How long?
We have a Scotch Club gathering this Saturday night.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Right.
And so what I would like you to do is ride your motorcycle over to the Kendricks.
I'm going to ride a two-wheeler and drink scotch.
I didn't say
these two things don't fit together for me.
I didn't say we'd give you any scotch. I just want you to ride your bike over there and park it.
And annoy everybody.
Just park it in the driveway and announce your arrival by revving it up a few times.
You know, that's really not like me, and that is falling right into the profiling that our producer, Dan, always does about these things. You know, just because some of us at this age are too decrepit and old and have all these ailments, and we're unable to go out and do the things we think we'd like to do, doesn't mean all of us are.
Are you just speaking about Lieutenant Dan? Because I know you're not referring to me.
I am referring to both of you.
How could that be?
Well, because you both are curmudgeons.
No.
You are. I found that out it was an epiphany while I was writing that my best friends are actually curmudgeons.
Why did you come back?
Well, I think there's hope for you.
Oh.
I'm here to help you.
Really?
Yes.
All right. So, well, thank you, Mr. Pillay.
Yeah. And now, while I was gone, I listened to the show, Jeremiah, and you actually did a great job. I was very happy with the program.
I reiterate, why did you come back?
And pretty soon, I'll just listen. How many years ago did Dan, and we started this thing 5-7 years ago, and the whole point was to have really good, smart young people take it over and fire me.
No.
I'm expecting to get fired any day now.
Oh, well. Yeah. Well,
what do you think, Jeremiah? How much time do I have left?
A few years still.
Okay. Well,
what's going on this show?
Well, let's move along. That's enough of your adventures in the Wild West.
Well, that's all I'll tell in public.
Okay.
Ken, why do you have to go and try to rip them apart? Both you and Dan.
Well, part of it is jealousy. You know, I wanted to go.
I see that.
I couldn't afford to buy a motorcycle. He wouldn't let me go even if I had one. He's older than I am, so he looks at me as though I'm just not mature enough to engage in the kind of activities that he and his other friends like to pursue. But hey, look, coming up on the show now is Jeremiah Alvarado's Third Side of the Coin and an interview with Karen Pryor, who is with the City Advertising and Promotion Committee. That's Eureka Springs City Advertising and Promotion Committee. And then Sharon Laborde is going to give us an overview of 3 books published this spring by Cahaba Press. They are Mary Ellen Griffith's Murder in Eureka Springs, 3 novellas, Pat Couch's Hiding Myself into Safety, and Fred Norell's A Boy's Adventures on Lake Martin.
And Tracy's with us, isn't she?
That's right.
Oh, great.
Tracy Johnson visits a new shop in town called Locals Leftovers. It's a thrift store, not a restaurant. And while she was there, she recorded Charlie Delta and the Sidewinders, who played at the local Leftovers open house, and then later that day at Chelsea's.
I always look forward to Tracy's segment. And now, Jeremiah, what fresh hell have you cooked up for the CAPC?
Now, I wouldn't say I cooked up a fresh hell. I think it's just...
Have you noted that they are in a fresh hell of some sort?
Well, I think it's not a fresh hell. I think they've been in a hell for a long time, especially with you three all...
Now, wait a minute. Are we calling Eureka Springs hell?
No, not at all. We all make our own heaven and our own hell as we go through life.
I see.
The wisdom that Richard has gained from his trip is great.
Right.
So, Jeremiah, tell us, who did you talk to?
Well, as said earlier, I talked with Karen Pryor, who's sales director at the CAPC. And she's just going to tell us about the work that the CAPC does. We should give it a listen.
We should. Here's Jeremiah Alvarado and the third side of the coin.
Hello everyone, this is Jeremiah Alvarado with the third side of the coin, and since neither the three old geezers that I work with nor I could very well talk about the CAPC, I brought someone in who can. I bring with me today sales director, I believe, at the CAPC, Karen Pryor. Karen, why don't you say hello?
Hello.
Well, for quite some time there's been, dissension in Eureka Springs, or
That's
at
putting
least
it mildly.
about the CAPC, and so I asked you to join me today and see so we can find out what the CAPC does and how they market our little part of Switzerland.
I'll try to answer your questions. Thank you for having me.
I guess we'll start off pretty easily with some easier ones. So what action does the CAPC take in order to promote Eureka Springs? And by that I mean, what do you use in order to reach your intended audience?
Well, Eureka Springs is probably the most eclectic city in Arkansas and in the region. There's great opportunity in almost every tourism category. Because of that, we do several things in our marketing. First, we cover a tremendous geographic area from Houston, Texas to Kansas City. We advertise in major cities such as Dallas, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Little Rock, the I-49 corridor, Springfield, Branson, Wichita, Kansas City, St. Louis. That also means we cover the complete metro areas in these cities, which means that we can reach millions of people. And in order to do that, we have to devise niched marketing. Some of our niches are the wedding market, food, music, art, family, GLBT, travel, entertainment, and entertainment includes Basin Spring Park and the auditorium. And our strategy is media mix of television, print, internet, direct mail, social media, billboards, group travelers. We try to cover pretty much everybody.
Okay, so not necessarily a specific group of people, but just whoever is interested in the town. Okay,
right.
So one could say that you guys don't just only advertise to the geriatrics of bikers.
No.
Okay, you're talking about online advertisement. Tell us a little bit about what goes into that.
We're real heavy into social media. We look at our analytics on a daily basis to track web activity. We can track new visitors to our website. We can hone in on what part of the country they live. We can determine their age, sex, what they're seeking when they come to our website, eurekasprings.org. Of course, I mentioned social media. We have nearly 62,000 fans on Facebook. And each month we reach nearly 500,000 people on our Facebook and all the new social media programs. Our publicist, Gina Drennan, is really on top of that and does a great job. Social media aspect of the advertising is a full-time job in itself.
So you guys can based on, at least through the online advertising, can tell whether you're reaching your target audience or not. And your target audience being very broad.
Yes.
Since Eureka Springs, we cover such a broad scope of different activities, do you find that it's harder to advertise the town that way, or is it probably something that is easier to market?
Well, not necessarily harder, but we go back to the niche marketing that I was talking about. Mountain biking,
Yeah.
If we want to attract that demographic, we're going to focus our advertising, first of all, in Bike Magazine, for instance. And our advertising will be created and designed and displayed to be attractive to the 18 to 45-year-old demographic. If it's weddings, we market to females, generally in their 20s. Of course, things like art, culinary, history, things like that, we can open the door to all demographic markets. So it really just depends on the subject that we're advertising and who we think that would appeal to.
Okay, and are there perhaps times in the years where you promote different things?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Eureka Springs is known as a four-season area of the state. Of course, in the spring and summer, we start advertising our rivers and lakes, outdoor adventure, the zip line, again, mountain biking, which is huge right now, so we're putting a lot of focus in that. In the wintertime, we've got Mardi Gras. We design our advertising around special events of the time of year. In the fall, we've got, of course, the fall foliage. We've got the Ozark Folk Festival, the different car shows. So our print ad especially is full of vibrant color. The same with TV and our billboard and things like that.
All right. So I was at the CAPC workshop a few weeks ago whenever you guys were hosting 121 Digital over.
Yes.
And they really talked about how they push your guys' information out there. And it was something that while I was there, I came kind of to the understanding that people in Eureka won't see that kind of advertising. Yeah.
We often have people within the community who say to us, how come I never see your ads? Well, to be perfectly blunt, I'm not advertising to you.
Right.
I'm advertising to people who aren't here every day. What 121 Digital does is they can take AdWords, and I'll talk about group travel because we're just getting in to that with 121. They will go out into the wide world of web and find where group travel operators and leaders are surfing. Online group tour magazines, for instance. And we'll put one of our ads there. That will drive them back to our website, to our group travel page, and entice them to call us and bring their group here.
Okay. Let's talk about group travel then.
Okay.
And this is something that you kind of personally handle, correct?
I'm more comfortable talking about that.
No, I understand. With Eureka Springs not allowing tour buses downtown, did that make it a lot harder to bring groups here?
I think that was part of it. Back in the 70s, early to mid 80s, we didn't have to go out and really pull the motor coaches in. They were here. They were lined up from here to Alpena looking for a place to stay. Branson called up with their lodging properties. So the motor coach groups who were going to Branson, but there was no place to stay, so they were staying in Eureka Springs, are now able to stay in Branson. So they're not coming through here like they used to. The fact that they can't travel the historic loop, it really doesn't have a lot to do with it. Okay. I mean, it's a component of it, but we have made it so they can go to the top of the hill to the historic hotel if they want to. They need a motor coach permit. It's free. They can go to the hotel for a meal or to spend the night, but that's as far as they go. We've made it possible so that they can take their groups, let them off at the courthouse and auditorium parking lot. The motor coach goes back up to the Plainer Hill parking, and at the designated time goes back to the courthouse to pick the group up. Yourself, our historic loop is too small and too fragile to have that kind of traffic on it nonstop. When I first started this position, I did have comments like, I didn't think Eureka Springs wanted motor coaches. That's not true. We do want the motor coaches. We have just needed the time to make arrangements, change things around so that we could accommodate them.
Okay. So the CAPC, how much money has to be spent to advertise Eureka Springs? Let's say per year.
That's kind of hard to say, but the CAPC is responsible for the advertising and promotion of the 3% tax on visitors who come to Eureka Springs for food and lodging.
Right.
Each month we compare our collections with the previous year to see what kind of growth we've had. Right now, we're on track to exceed our projected goal of $1.3 million in tax collections, and today we are 14% ahead of 2015's collections.
Okay.
So, obviously, 100% of those collections are not put directly into advertising. We do have overhead. We have the auditorium. It's only been in recent years that the majority of the tax collections are going into advertising. And if people want to see a copy of our budget, they can go to CAPC.biz, B-I-Z, and the budget is right there that shows every penny that we spend. It includes salaries, overhead, auditorium, festivals. Okay. It's broken down by TV, radio, print. It's right there online.
All right. So anyway, we can just go there and look at it.
Yes.
That's good for people to know, because I know, questions have always been asked, how are you spending your money? And it's good to know that, we can just go and look at how it's being spent. I assume is that updated on a yearly basis, I assume?
Oh, it's updated daily.
Wow.
Our business owners can go in there. They can print off their collection forms. You can see web analytics on there. Of course, the budget's on there. Our print ads are on there. CAPC.biz. That website is for our community. It's for our collectors.
Okay.
So there's nothing tourism related per se on that website.
Okay.
It's just the general CAPC business.
Okay. I suspect that will be very enlightening, and it will be certainly enlightening to me, because I suspect that I will be going in there after we're done with this. Well, do we want to wrap it up, Karen?
That's up to you. I'm just now getting a little calm.
Oh.
I've kind of been stressing about this for a few days.
Well, now's when I wrap it up.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us for the third side of the coin. This has been Jeremiah Alvarado with Karen Pryor.
Thank you.
And we both wish all of you a wonderful week.
Thank you for the interview with Karen Pryor. And, my recollections of some of the events with regard to the CAPC and bus issues in Eureka Springs, I think are a little bit different than hers. I seem to recall a controversy concerning the buses in Eureka Springs. There was a lot of problem with buses going up on the historic loop. There were efforts at one point in time to make the historic loop a one-way street to accommodate the traffic flow. There was also, after the buses were banned from the historic loop, the tour operators, as I recall, told the CAPC and the city of Eureka Springs, "You don't let us, we don't come." And that, in fact, I believe happened, much to the detriment of some of the businesses, including, in particular, I think, the Passion Play. I've only been back here a little over 35 years, so...
Well, I mean, I think if you would go and re-listen to it, Kent, I think you will hear her mention that the historic loop cannot take the traffic that the tour buses would give. I think she, in fact, supports that idea that the historic loop shouldn't.
I'm just saying that that's my recollection of what happened.
Well, overall, it sounds like she feels that the CAPC is doing what they've been tasked to do, reaching out to the multitudes and letting everyone know where and how and what Eureka Springs is.
Well, Jeremiah and I talked before about the problems that the CAPC has, perhaps with communication about their mission and what they do for the community. So I think that we have to remember that the CAPC is really an arm of the business community of Eureka Springs, and their job and role isn't to accommodate the local residents. They're not there to make life better for those who live on the historic loop, so to speak. They are there to bring people to Eureka Springs on those heavily financed noise machines, and to bring other tourists of a specific demographic into Eureka Springs and deposit their dollars on the counter.
Just lately, there was a triathlon or 100-mile athletic event, and because I was on the Chamber of Commerce, I've had lots and lots and lots of local residents asked me to do something about it, how dangerous it was. Some people almost got killed because these guys ride in the middle of the road, and it stops life as we live it during this event. And what good does it do the community? Well, I don't have answers to this.
You were on the Chamber of Commerce for Holiday Island.
Indeed.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And that's where this event centers, is around Holiday Island. There's another one that goes on in Lake Leatherwood. I don't know who the promoters are for these things, but I do know there's a lot of negative response. And again, some people were nearly killed over this. Unsafe. It's apparently not man. I wasn't here, so I can't say.
Yeah, do you know if this, and maybe you know, Jeremiah, was this a full-on triathlon with the bike ride, the marathon, and the swim?
I understand it was.
Yeah, and then there was also bicycling for if I'm not mistaken, a 20-mile, a 58-mile, and a 100-mile. And that was 3 days of events, and I'm not exactly sure how those days were.
Any idea how many participants there were in this event or these events?
I don't know at this time. I do know that I was told by one of the semi-involved organizers that it was to bring people to the area so they can purchase land and live here. And somehow I think that we've lost the quality of life during these events.
So, Jeremiah, I mean, do you think that Richard and I are the people that spoke to Richard are being curmudgeons or being unrealistic about the activities and the events that are brought to Eureka Springs and the surrounding area to attract people?
Because what I saw from the cycling, at least when I had to drive out, people are passing them on curves, passing them on blind corners. I mean,
it's a very dangerous situation.
But you know,
the best of worlds,
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So my observation then would be, based on what you're saying, Jeremiah, is that the promoters of the event didn't have the foresight to, in fact, make arrangements to adequately protect the participants and the public. I mean, the Tour de France, goes halfway around the continent of Europe.
But those roads are closed to the public.
Exactly, during the Tour de France.
And that's what they need to be open or closed, and a point that has been made to me several times. If they're going to have the race, close the roads.
All right.
And they'll make other arrangements in their life. Is it that important? I'd let our listeners write into us and let us know. So, Ken, enough of this. What's up with Sharon Laborde this week?
I was going to give you the 7 Ps, but never mind.
That's fine.
All right. All right. Let's talk about Sharon Laborde, who's coming up next with the segment that we all enjoy in the show, and which is one that is completely devoid of the asinine and inane comments that two old geezers make in the presence of a boy.
Well,
right? And this is the segment we call "Welcome to the Conversation," and Sharon's going to provide us with some brief reviews of 3 writers who've just published their books.
Welcome to the conversation. This is Sharon Laborde. It's been a busy summer here in the Ozarks, and it's been especially hectic here at Cahaba Press. I'm proud to announce that we have released 3 new books since early May, and I'd like to tell you a little about them. Our most recent release is Hiding Myself into Safety by Pat Laster of Benton, Arkansas. Pat is the author of 2 novels, A Journey of Choice and Her Face in the Glass, which is a sequel to the first novel. Her short fiction, essays, and poems have appeared in many places, including Roper Review, AIM, Echoes of the Ozarks, Volume 8, Voices, Volume 4, Arkansas Biography, Encyclopedia of Arkansas History and Culture, Calliope, a writer's workshop by mail, Old Mill Pond Anthology, and the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. She is poetry editor at Calliope, a writer's workshop by mail, past president of Poets Roundtable of Arkansas, and a regular workshop leader at the annual Lucidity Poetry Retreats. In 1992, she won the $1,000 first prize in the Sybil Nash Abrams contest of PRA. She has also been a resident at the Writers' Colony at Deary Hollow in Eureka Springs, Arkansas on a number of occasions, and that's where I met her. You may remember the interview I did with Pat early in the summer as she was putting the finishing touches on Hiding Myself into Safety. It's a unique book that I think you will thoroughly enjoy. The reader will be fascinated by the collection of short stories, poems, and an occasional essay that portray the unique atmosphere and culture of the South. The collection is a reflection on the past as well as the modern world, with each selection told from a different point of view. From the eyes of the young to a fascinating cast of adult characters, the author never fails to delight or surprise the reader. The short stories and essays are an example of the Southern storytelling tradition at its best. Her poems scattered throughout the book cover a broad range of topics, setting a mood ranging from the nostalgic to the humorous that will make this a difficult book to put down. Unforgettable is not an overstatement. The characters and the settings will continue to linger in the mind's eye for a long time to come. With the author's permission, here's a sneak preview of one of my favorites. Yucca. Granddad must have loved yucca, planting it in front of each house he built, even the one for himself and Grandy. 80 years later, I betake myself street-side to that ancient house, where in the past someone planted iris, thinking perhaps to soften the unfriendly yucca. In early August coolness, I snip brown tips of iris blades, yank yellowed leaves with gloved fingers spread like hen's feet. I scratch away dead foliage, nested oak leaves, each old yucca bottom dead. I pull over like a naughty child, and there the simile ends. Sever each base. Did I hear them sigh as if glad to be shed of holding upright the newish green rosettes, preening like teenage girls waving at passing cars? Several baby plants peek among the iris. Callously I yank them up, throw them on the growing pile of detritus. Even so, 4 passable yucca plants still center the green and clean bed. Later, I received my reward, a tall bloom stalk that eventually opened to an ivory torch. Perhaps that's why Granddad loved yucca. Hiding Myself into Safety, in print and ebook, and other works by Pat Laster are available from Amazon. Last winter, author Fred Norell selected Cahaba Press to facilitate the publication of his memoir about his boyhood summers on Lake Martin in Alabama. Originally conceived as a book for his grandchildren, A Boy's Adventures on Lake Martin has received praise not only as a book for children, but readers of all ages. It was published in late June by Cahaba Press. Here's a sample from one of the reviews. This is a little more than a beautifully written children's book. Adults will be captivated with nostalgia. The feelings we experience growing up, blended with delightful and forgiving memories of imperfect parents and siblings. Children will love considering many adventures that can be realistically experienced today by someone just like themselves. The author subtly shares a way to think that leads to discovering adventure in otherwise normal activities. Adults will find the images of summer life on a lake breathtaking. Somehow the author accomplishes this again and again with words any child can understand. The direct and compelling prose is delivered with precision, extremely unusual in contemporary books for any audience. Buy this book, enjoy it, buy additional copies as gifts for those people you know who get it. And join me in looking forward to another bit of wonder from this author. What a terrific review from Amazon. And A Boy's Adventures on Lake Martin is available in print from Amazon and from our link on CAHABApress.com. Early in May, Cahaba Press published Murder in Eureka Springs, 3 novellas by Mary Ellen Griffith. Of course, anyone who has ever visited Eureka Springs, or perhaps only read about it, understands that it is the ideal setting for a mystery, and that's exactly where the author takes us. From a writer's workshop, an ESP conference at the historic Crescent Hotel, to an Ozarks UFO weekend, there's never a dull moment in the Victorian village of Eureka Springs, Arkansas. 3 novellas follow the adventures of 2 friends as they look forward to fun and entertainment. Instead, each weekend finds them in the middle of a murder mystery in this idyllic mountain town. Mary Ellen Griffith is an artist, photographer, and writer living near Eureka Springs in the mountains of northwest Arkansas. She is a member of the Garden Writers Association, the National Wildlife Association, the Eureka Springs Historical Society, and a life member of the Carroll County, Arkansas Master Gardeners. She is Professor Emeritus, Butler University in Indianapolis, Indiana. She is also the author of Journey to Nature, Haiku and Photographic Expressions. Murder in Eureka Springs is available in both print and ebook format from Amazon. Our authors greatly appreciate your support. Thank you. I'm so pleased you could join me today on Welcome to the Conversation. I'll be back soon with a few more ideas about writing, interviews with fascinating people, and reports on the creative spirit that is alive and well here in the beautiful Ozark Mountains of northwest Arkansas and Missouri. Until next time, this is Sharon Laborde, Cultural Editor of Ozark Radio Hour. And now, please stay tuned for the following brief message.
Are you an independent author looking for a publisher? Cahaba Press is open to a limited number of submissions. Check out our Guidelines and Writers Service package on our website for print and ebooks. Cahaba Press offers editing, formatting, and cover design at a reasonable rate. Your book will be digitized for upload to Amazon, and you will retain all rights to your intellectual property. That means you keep all your royalties. Your book will also be listed on our website, CAHABApress.com. That's CAHABAPRESS.com, with a link to Amazon and their worldwide marketing platform. We take care of our writers. Email publisher@CAHABApress for more details. We look forward to serving you.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Kent, I've actually run into one of these writers, Mary Ellen Griffith. I think she's actually been out to our place and toured the gardens and with the Northwest Arkansas Permaculture Group. I think I'm going to have to go ahead and buy her book.
Well, and as a matter of fact, you can download copies of each of these books on your Kindle from Amazon.com. Jeremiah, why don't you introduce T.Racy Johnson and Music is Medicine for the Soul?
I would, but I think I might have taken too much from Richard here. Richard, how do I introduce T.Racy?
You say, quote, "And now it's time for T.Racy Johnson and her musical guest, Charlie Delta Sidewinder."
All right. Quote, "And now it's time for T.Racy Johnson and her musical guest, Charlie Delta Sidewinder."
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ozark Radio Hour. This is T.Racy. I am in downtown Eureka Springs. The address is 6 Center Street. And today there's a new local business opening. It's called Locals Leftovers. And it is a thrift store full of all of your favorite goodies from all of your favorite locals. They've been donated to this store. And they also have a live band here today. The band is called Charlie Delta Sidewinder. We're going to go in a minute. We're going to get some from the band and do an interview and introduce you to this new cute store. Once again, it's at 6 Center Street in Eureka Springs. Thank you very much. That was Charlie Delta Sidewinder, and they're playing at the grand opening of Locals Leftovers on 6 Center Street. Desiree and Jonathan are the two folks that are starting this business. Come on down. Your hours are
11 to 7, Thursday through Monday.
And if folks have things they want to drop off here for you, how do they do that?
They can come by and talk to me, or they can call 479-244-7865 to arrange a pickup.
We're so glad you're here. Welcome to the neighborhood. The music was awesome today. And don't forget, come on down to Eureka Springs for lots of wonderful shopping and wonderful music. It's interweaved throughout the community here, and I've told you many, many times, that's what makes this place so special. After the grand opening of Local Leftovers, I kind of followed Charlie Delta Sidewinder, or perhaps they followed me. I don't know. But later that night at Chelsea's, which is located at 10 Mountain Street in Eureka Springs, there's open mic. And open mic is always amazing at Chelsea's because we have so many tourists coming through that you never know who's going to be at open mic. Throw that in with all of the local musicians who live here that we're so blessed with. And it's one of my favorite nights to be at Chelsea's. Well, Charlie Delta Sidewinder blessed us with a couple more songs later in the night. And I have one I'd really like to play for you. The audio is a little bit off because this is a show that I recorded live, but I really wanted to let you all hear one more song from them. The members of this band, there's Cameron Dunway, Aaron Walker, Blaine Theobald, and Jonathan Gratt, and they've all been in various other bands. Blaine played in Mountain Sprout for quite a while, which a lot of you are familiar with. And the other fellows were in a band that kind of broke up and has been resurrected with a little bit of a different sound. So here's one more song from Charlie Delta Sidewinder. We hope to see you all out at some shows. These guys play around town a little bit, so come on out to an open mic. They're usually there. You'll get to say hi, eat their brains and gain their knowledge, and be around some really awesome people. Because music is medicine for our soul. Until next time, happy trails and safe travels.
Won't leave this world and all its life. We're gonna have a good time. Nothing with you when you die. You can't take nothing with you when you die. Ain't little bit of time with you.
Well, thank you, Tracy. And folks, give local leftovers a new and I bet upscale thrift shop located at 6 Center Street in Eureka Springs a visit. And I think that's about it for today. You want to say goodbye, Jeremiah?
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Friends, thank you for tuning in to the Ozark Radio Hour. Until next week, adios.
The Ozark Harvest Radio Hour is a production of the Eureka Springs Independent and the Inside Straight and Thanatopsis Club. Richard Pillay, executive producer. Dan Croats, producer and writer. Dr. Sharon Sloan, technical director. Dr. Fred Mayer, director of music. G.K. Chesterton, director of philosophy and content. Jane Pillay and Bonifaci Fiacre, gardening consultants. Luca Brazzi, aquaculture consultant. Eddie Keever and the fabulous Keever sisters, advertising and sales. The Ozark Harvest Radio Hour is organic radio, always fresh, always local, and always honest. We are community radio. That means that if you would like to appear on the Ozark Harvest Radio Hour, we have to put you on. Contact us at the OzarkHarvestRadioHour.com, like us on Facebook, or look us up in the telephone book. Until next week, so long, and be nice.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.